What's up, everyone? This is Silver Slayer, and welcome to your daily silver stacking video. Thank you for tuning in. Ladies and gentlemen, this is one of those videos that you're not going to want to hear, especially if you're new. We're talking about silver price manipulation, that these banks are actually rigging the price of silver. And it's called spoofing, placing a false buy order on these exchanges with the intent of canceling the order before it goes through. So the markets almost are in this false illusionary state because it looks like a whole bunch of people are buying up contracts and putting in orders, but really all those orders are going to be canceled. But the gray area is this: you're allowed to cancel orders. You're allowed to cancel. So how can you prove if someone is purposely placing that order with the intent to cancel it? Well, JPMorgan, for the last 3-4 years, I've been covering JPMorgan's shady, corrupt, they are the most evil enterprise, the most shady bank in America. And it's funny because you can even see an article right here titled, "Is JPMorgan Chase America's Most Corrupt Bank?" And then we have more articles talking about other situations where they have been rigging the price of silver. This has not just gone on once or twice or 3 times or 4 times. Actually, last year, 3 of their employees got sent to prison. And here's the thing, and you can see with, I think it's this article right here. It's one of them. They only get, like $50, $100 million fine or something, just a slap on the wrist. And that was back in around 2018, probably, I would say, when I first started covering it. And I was even going over that, for a bank, that is nothing. So, of course, they're going to keep doing it. But as of a couple years ago, I'm saying literally just maybe 2 years max, judges have been cracking down. They said, you know what, this is not okay. And they have been making more punishable crimes. Not only are we talking about $920 million, not only are we talking about $30 billion in fines, we're talking about employees getting sent to prison. And that's really, I guess, refreshing to know that people are really cracking down on this, because this is so messed up that people are purposely and rigging the price. I mean, when you're looking at banks, you never trust banks. I mean, most of us silver stackers started stacking silver because we don't trust banks, because we don't trust the government, right? And the government banks are centralized. It's a centralized unit. That's why they can do so many things behind the scenes. That's why they can get away with stuff like this. But like I said, there's a lot of gray area, so it's hard to tell if they were doing it on purpose or if they just canceled, out of the natural habit. So that's a very hard thing. And it's not just JPMorgan that got caught doing this. I've covered several other banks that have also got caught spoofing, and they are backdating decades looking into these cases. This isn't just a couple years that they started doing this. No, this has been going on for decades, and they are looking back for 30, 40 years. And the scariest part is, how do you think this has affected the price of silver? I mean, gold is a much bigger market than silver, ladies and gentlemen. That's why silver is more volatile. Silver is a pretty small market. I mean, when you're looking at it compared to gold or even crypto. I mean, a lot of times silver can be manipulated if you throw enough money at it. Look at the Hunt brothers. 3 brothers pushed silver up to $50 by themselves single-handedly. They pushed the price from $9 to $50. 3 people did that. Now, they were extremely wealthy, but, with something like gold, no amount of money can do that. But anyways, I have another point to make real quick. Jamie Dimon, which is the head of JPMorgan, he is he's a character, right? I don't like him. I don't trust him. He's very corrupt. I mean, he's the mascot of this shady company. And I promise we are going to get into these articles, but I got to give a little bit of an introduction, right? I mean, I've been covering so much of this information in these articles. I want to highlight some main points just in case they don't. So, Jamie Dimon, which is the head of JPMorgan, he came out and remember when I said banks are centralized so they can get away with shady stuff behind the scenes? Well, Jamie Dimon started back in 2017, 2018, calling Bitcoin a scam. He said Bitcoin's a scam, don't buy it. And he's a big enough figure that when he said that, the price of Bitcoin shot down thousands of dollars from him coming out and publicly saying that. But guess what? Right after that, Jamie Dimon got caught buying millions and millions of dollars in Bitcoin. Right after. You want to know why and how he got caught? Because the Bitcoin blockchain is decentralized. Every transaction on the blockchain is public. You can't do anything shady behind the scenes. You can't hide anything. That's one reason why I love cryptocurrency, is because everything is public. You can't do anything shady. And if there is going to be a change on the blockchain, everyone has to vote. It's all a unanimous vote. There is no one in charge. I mean, honestly, if you don't know much about crypto, it is like it stands the same thing for precious metals, but just in a digital form. We're taking the power away from banks and centralized banks. It's a decentralized system globally. It really is just like precious metals. You're taking the power, the control away from these centralized, corporate, shady, corrupt bankers. And you can see why they hate crypto and why they're trying to centralize it themselves and regulate it. But regardless, it's just funny that even with Bitcoin, Jamie Dimon, JPMorgan and Chase was trying to do some shady, just some petty stuff. And of course, that's similar to spoofing. It's not the same thing, but it is similar, right? He's saying something, he's manipulating people's perspective of it to push the price either up or down, and then he capitalizes off of it, just like what spoofing is. So anyways, let's look at a couple of these articles. Oh, and by the way, JPMorgan also got caught with millions of dollars in misprinted gold bars that were most likely going to be sold or were bought on like the black market or something. That was another situation that happened with them. I mean, the list goes on. But there has been a lot of other banks like the Dutch Bank. I think it was Merrill Lynch, the Dutch Bank, and JPMorgan all got caught with major spoofing charges, rigging the markets. So JPMorgan and Chase agreed to pay $60 million to settle class action litigation by investors who accused the largest U.S. bank of intentionally manipulating prices of precious metals futures and options. The settlement disclosed on Friday stemmed from sprawling U.S. government investigations into a form of illegal trading in precious metals and U.S. Treasury markets known as spoofing. So they did not admit wrongdoing in agreeing to the settlement, which is crazy because they've gotten caught time and time again, but they're still denying it. 3 of their employees, or now ex-employees, literally got sent to prison, and they're still trying to play this innocent card. I mean, you're not fooling anyone. And honestly, they would probably be better off just being honest about it because it's so blatantly obvious. But they're using that gray area to their advantage. So this covers traders in precious metals futures and options from March 2008 to August 2016 and requires approval by a federal judge in Manhattan. Lawyers for these investors called the accord substantively fair, citing, among other reasons, the risks of continued litigation. the payout would recover about 7% of the estimated $915 million of class-wide damages. And JPMorgan declined the comment. I mean, you got to think, if silver's price is rigged essentially, or theoretically, or manipulated to some degree, that is going to affect the price. I mean, imagine if you're someone that was debating, contemplating about investing into silver. Let's say you're watching this video right now, and you just heard about silver a week or two ago, and now you watch this video and you hear that silver prices are rigged. That would definitely push you away, or make you, I guess, a little more hesitant about investing. But I'm not going to paint things as rainbows and unicorns if they aren't always rainbows and unicorns. I'm going to tell you the good, the bad, the ups and the downs, folks. If this article or this video is making you more hesitant in investing into silver, then obviously you're not doing enough research to where you should be investing anyways. There's a lot more. I mean, this is nothing. This is nothing compared to why you should invest. Spoofing is where traders place orders they intend to cancel. They intend to cancel, hoping to move prices to benefit their market positions, right? They place these orders knowing they're going to cancel it. But it's so tricky to catch because you are allowed to cancel, but they place the orders knowing they're going to cancel. So it makes the markets look different than they really are, especially with a bank that has unlimited money. They can be placing huge orders, making the markets look so misleading to other people that are either trading, buying, or selling from the information, the data that they see. So JPMorgan entered a deferred prosecution agreement and agreed to pay $920 million, including a $436 million criminal fine to settle U.S. government probes into spoofing in precious metals and treasuries. So the lawyers for the precious metals investors plan to seek up to 1/3 of their settlement, or $20 million, to cover legal fees. So that's, one article. This has happened time and time again, though, folks. I'm not just talking about 3 or 4 times. I've been covering JPMorgan getting caught spoofing, rigging the price for the last 3-4 years. I'm not exaggerating. Go check my videos from 4 years ago, and I'm making videos just like this about JPMorgan getting caught rigging prices. It is ridiculous how shady and corrupt this company is. It was about 2 years ago, or maybe a year and a half ago, when 3 of their employees got sent to prison. It was probably about 3 years ago, maybe a little more, when they got caught with the millions of dollars in misprinted gold bars. But even since the last 2-3 years, I've probably made 3 or 4 other videos talking about JPMorgan getting caught manipulating prices. And I love, though, that they've been cracking down more, and maybe that will, this is always going to happen, right? Wherever there's money involved, wherever there's politics, there's going to be shady stuff happening, especially with a centralized system where they can get away with it, essentially. But if they start sending people to prison, that might make you second guess doing it, right? So is JPMorgan Chase America's most corrupt bank? Between Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren, we've heard a lot about the corruption on Wall Street. But if you want to understand exactly what happened and why, read J.P. Madoff, The Unholy Alliance Between America's Biggest Bank and America's Biggest Crook. So I guess it's written by blah, 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 and he's talking about laws against JPMorgan, blah, blah, blah. So if you want a quick documentation of their thesis, play the terrifying online wheel, blah, 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 blah. I don't like talking about stuff you don't need to know. I want to get to the meat and potatoes. So let's just look at it. If they don't talk about any... Okay, so here we go. This is a book not just about individuals, but about a corrupt symbiotic relationship between big financial institutions and politicians. The Washington Wall Street axis that breeds a system where a 17-year-old kid who robs a 7-Eleven of $300 goes to jail in a police van, but a 34-year-old Wall Street banker who steals $1 billion from customers goes home with Greenwich in his limousine and gets an 8-figure bonus to boot, right? That's crazy. As Senator Warren has recently noted, it's a national shame that 8 years after the financial meltdown, not a single banker has gone to prison. But that is not true anymore. 3 of their employees did get sent to prison. Maybe it was jail, but I'm pretty sure it was prison. I'll actually pause the video right now and try to go find that article. So give me 1 second. So, okay, folks, just like I was saying, this was September 17th, 2020. Former JPMorgan trader sentenced to prison for currency rigging. And that's prison, not jail. That was only one of the 3 people. But listen how funny this is. Not only have their employees been getting sent to prison for spoofing, but look at this. Former bank employee sentenced to 21 months in prison for embezzling $357,000 from JPMorgan Chase Bank, and also a former JPMorgan Chase Bank employee sentenced to 4 years in prison for selling customer account information. And that was just me Googling for literally 2 minutes. I just wanted to find the first article to show you guys that people are getting sent to prison for spoofing. So the article that we literally were just reading, where they said that nobody has got sent to prison yet, is wrong, because they have 3 different people have got sent to prison now for spoofing, for rigging the price. But regardless, this is still insane. I mean, this is still insane. So let's keep moving on. So in one chapter, they compare JPMorgan Chase to the Gambino crime family and point out both similarities and the differences, concluding that both organizations were structured to profit from violations of law. The biggest distinction is the dress code. Another chapter, they examine Jamie Dimon's interview with Mariah Barntorimo, and that to point out, in their view, is blatantly false impression that Jamie Dimon gives JPMorgan Chase. And that's, blah, 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 just talking about a whole bunch of different stuff. So, yeah, I don't know. I mean, that article, I guess you could take it for what it is. I guess they were looking at it from a completely different spotlight than spoofing, which I still do like, just to show that it's not just this. This is a shady company in general. It's not just spoofing. I mean, everything they're doing. I mean, look at their employee that was sentenced to 4 years for selling customer account information. This is the FBI.gov archives where JP Morgan was sentenced, or an employee was sentenced to 21 months in prison. We're not talking about jail. We're talking about prison, folks. Prison and jail are a completely different thing. Jail is nothing, right? You can kick it, whatever. Prison, though, is where people get stabbed, where you can't drop the soap, where there's guards and you're on lockdown. I mean, prison is a lot different than jail. So these people are getting sent to they're getting some serious charges, and that's because this is a serious offense. I mean, imagine if spoofing wasn't going on and the natural price of silver on the COMEX could go through, or on these exchanges. So JP Morgan will pay $436 million in fines, $311 million in restitution, and more than $172 million in disgorgement. And that's between the settlement of 2009 and 2016. Treasuries traders place orders on one side of the market which they never intended to execute to create a false impression of buy or sell interest that would raise or depress prices. That manipulative practice designed to create the illusion of demand or lack of demand is known as spoofing. And there you could see again that it is so hard to tell because they're allowed to cancel. But I wouldn't believe anything that they say at this point. I mean, even with Dutch Bank, Bank of America, or with Dutch Bank, Merrill Lynch getting caught spoofing, yes, those were some serious situations as well. But those were, I've only covered the Dutch Bank and Merrill Lynch maybe once or twice in the last 3-4 years. But JPMorgan I've covered probably 10 times on this channel. 10 different times. So we have a small favor to ask. Tens of millions have placed their trust in Guardian's high impact journalism. Blah, blah, blah. I don't want to talk about blah, 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 blah. See, I'm only going to tell you stuff you need to know. I'm never going to talk about stuff you don't need to know. I'm not one of those people that ramble. When I'm watching a YouTube video, especially an educational one, my biggest pet peeve, the thing I hate the most, is when someone starts talking about something that is so irrelevant or that nobody else cares about. It's like, why are you talking about this? Like, I don't care. Nobody else cares. And you're just wasting our time. You know, like, I feel like every single thing that I say on this channel has a reason, right? Even if I start rambling, it's because I'm bringing around a point back to what the original conversation was, right? And even when I start seeing stuff like that, I'm not going to just read through this. Like, it's just irrelevant. But anyways, so this is talking about 2008. It looks like a lot of their, I guess, a lot of their spotlight is from around 2008 to 2016. Or I guess you could even say maybe, I would probably say around 2016 when they're looking at these spoofing charges. I know that they are going back earlier than 2008. I mean, this is going to be ongoing for a while, so I can't imagine how much worse this situation is going to get. But I just don't see how people can trust Jamie Dimon. I don't see how people can still bank with JPMorgan and Chase. I mean, I just don't see why they're still doing it. And I'm also very curious on how the judge from Manhattan, the one that I remember reading the article where he announced that he's going to start cracking down on spoofing. I literally remember on this channel reading that article saying that that is really good news and I really hope that he does it. And what do you know? Within probably half a year, the next spoofing charge that JPMorgan got was a huge penalty. I think that's when actually their employees got sent to prison. And I was so excited. I was like, the judge actually kept his word. They are making spoofing a more punishable crime. Like, it's crazy. And that's kind of why I still talk about and I still cover this, is because I want you guys to realize that things aren't always rainbows and unicorns. Silver prices are manipulated to some degree. There's a lot of shady, corrupt banks out there, and it's not just with things, that are politics. It actually has a lot to do with not only precious metals, but silver itself. And why do you think it's silver? Because it's much easier to manipulate and rig the price of silver than it is gold. That's why they do silver. So anyways, yeah, so I mean, this is just more, more stuff they paid. I guess there were some other numbers that they paid, $30 billion in penalties from 2013, endless investigations. But by year's end, outlets reported stunning $20 billion in fines the bank paid to settle cases in 2013 alone. I mean, and it's just, man, like, talk about a shady company. right? It's not one or two times. It's not three or four times. This has been going on for decades. For decades. And then the bank also entered a deferred prosecution agreement and paid a $2.5 billion fine for failing for 2 decades to report activity by client Bernie Madoff that was report the massive Ponzi scheme. Man. And see, for 2 decades, just that situation alone. So if they were doing shady stuff for 2 decades just with, not reporting activity from Bernie Madoff, imagine the spoofing, imagine the other situations like people selling customer account information. And you know that it's not just these people that got caught, right? It wasn't just these 3 people, this guy, and this guy that got caught. Those are the ones that got caught. But I can guarantee that there are many, many, many more people in that office, in that building, in that company, in that franchise that are doing the same exact thing. Those are just the ones that got caught, right? And this, I could say the same thing for JPMorgan. It's not just JPMorgan, the Dutch bank, and Merrill Lynch. There's other banks out there. A lot of people are doing it, but hopefully, like I said, people start seeing that you can go to prison for this. Maybe it will make them second guess it. It's just so hard because of that gray area. How can you prove that someone did it on purpose? Because you're allowed to cancel. So anyways, I'm going to wrap this video up here. If you thought this video was 1, educational, 2, informational, 3, at least entertaining, make sure to hit the like button. I'm doing a 50,000 subscriber silver giveaway. We're actually about to hit 52,000 subscribers. I can't thank you guys enough for the incredible support. If you love silver, make sure you like the video. If you want the newest, latest information, make sure you like the video and subscribe. If you want a chance to win some free silver, then make sure you subscribe and click the bell and go enter in the entry video. I'll post the link in the description, so you don't got to do anything. You don't got to go find the video. Just go to the description, click the link, and that's the entry video. I'm announcing the winner December 1st, so you only have a couple days left. And when you click subscribe, click all. There will be a little bell. Click all, so you'll get all my notifications, because if you don't, then you'll only get notified for some of my videos, maybe even none, and you'll miss all my daily videos and potential upcoming giveaways. Every time I do a giveaway announcement, people say they missed it, and that's because they don't have notifications turned on. So and it's not only just about the giveaways. You should be tuning in just to get this knowledge regardless, right? So anyways, I'm gonna wrap this video up here. I do appreciate you guys for tuning in. Make sure to like this video. It really does help. Make sure to leave a comment as well. Thanks for tuning in. This is Silver Slayer. I'll see you guys soon. Peace.